We've taken the country back. America's first again. Now I can resume business. I'm excited, man. Me and Hunter have sat down. We've talked about a couple different options. And, I'm excited to get back in there. First quarter of next year, 100%. I'm coming back to the UFC Octagon to unleash chaos and give the fans, a show which they deserve. This division's boring, man. The whole UFC is kind of, definitely there's a lot of exciting fighters, but, we need to bring the fun and entertainment back to this sport, and that's what I'm going to do for the fans. Yeah, the foot feels great. 100% recovered. Finally have, the mobility back in it. And finally, it's not compromised anymore. So it feels good. I've been training very hard, been in tip-top shape and just really well-rounding my game and making sure, I close every little hole in my game. So when I come back to that octagon, you're going to see a perfect fighter, a guy that's not going to make mistakes, a guy that's going to go out there and put it on the line for our country because, that's what we need right now.
Did you see that Shavkat needed an opponent? Were you tempted at all to step in there? Because it looks like the winner of that gets the next title shot anyway.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to be out like 6 months or something like that. So, I was very tempted. If UFC would have called me, they know I'm a game time player, dude. I love doing the biggest and best business for the company. So I was excited at the opportunity to step in there. But, it looks like they're going a different route. They're going to go with potentially with the Usman and shit rat fight. And, good on them. That's okay. I'm right there still anyways. I beat someone. I'm right back in the conversation. So, I would love that. They know they can call me on a week's notice and I'm stepping up to the plate. So, I think it's a good matchup for me. And I want to fight everybody. I want to fight all the biggest and best fights. And I'm coming back a completely changed fighter.
Yeah. So you offered to fill in against Shavkat.
Yeah. I offered. I told the UFC that, I was willing to step up to the plate. And, I would love to save the show and put on a good show for the fans. They pay their hard-earned money for, big mega fights, that they need a mega fight. That's not a mega fight. They need someone who's going to put asses in seats and entertain people. So, I was excited. I wanted the fight and I asked for it, but I think they have other plans. But, I'm still in their plans. I'm still the biggest star in the division. Big business is going to get done, and I'm going to get that back to that title before next summer. Yeah, I think I can walk him down and pressure him, and he's not going to like my pressure. He doesn't do very well with southpaws. We saw how he did with the bus boy, Jeff Neal. So that was a very competitive fight. So, he hasn't fought a top contender yet. He's fought some gatekeepers of the division, some guys right on the cusp of the top 10, but he's never fought a champion like me and a guy who's just going to come at him for 5 straight rounds and just walk him down. So I think I match up well with him. He stands very tall. I don't know. I don't see anything special with him. He has some good submissions. He's slick, but that's when he can control the wrestling. He's not going to control the wrestling on me. So, I think I can beat him pretty easily, and I think it's a favorable fight, and it's a fight that I want in the future, whether he wins or loses, in December.
What do you make of Ilia Topuria sort of saying, welterweight and, talking about welterweight at 170? What do you think of him sort of talking about your division?
Yeah, I don't think it's smart. He's very short. He's only 5'7", 5'8", maybe at most. So, he needs to stay in his lane. I get what he's doing, though. He's a great fighter, man. He's knocking people out left and right. He's beating 2 of the greatest featherweights in history. So, let him talk his talk right now. But, he needs to stay in his lane, stay in his division. He's a 145 guy. He's not a 170 guy. And if he comes to 170, let's see him go to 55 first. He's just talking right now. Until you actually go up to 55, then you really shouldn't even be talking about 170. So, but good on him, man. He's undefeated. He's, got all the confidence and he believes in himself. So you got to like guys that believe in themselves and aren't afraid to challenge themselves.
He says that he wants to submit Islam Makhachev. Your thoughts?
Yeah, we'd all love to see it, but until he goes out there and proves it, then, it's just talk at this moment. So, he has some work to do in featherweight. I know that, he needs to defend that belt a couple times, and then we can start talking about these super fights and crossover fights up a weight class. So, he's got plenty of contenders that are waiting for him, and, he's bringing some relevancy back to that featherweight division. So good on him. Not really. We saw the same thing with, Khabib. He talked a big game his whole career. Oh, I'm going to go to 170. I'm going to stop cutting all this weight, because both those guys are legitimately cutting chromosomes off their body. Those guys are huge lightweights. They're bigger than me, and I'm a weight class up. So those guys are walking around 190 plus, probably closer to 200. So, they're just weight bullies, and that's what they do best. And they talk a big game like they're going to come up to welterweight, but they've never actually done it. So, if he wanted to come up and look for big fights, look no further than me. USA versus Russia. This is the biggest fight he could possibly get. I mean, it's a mega blockbuster fight, but I think Islam's all talk, just like Khabib. They're never actually going to come up to welterweight. They're just going to stay at lightweight and throw stones from the lightweight division.
And now, obviously, people have also been asking about this Ian Garry fight, the Tampa main event. We saw he shared a contract. He said your name was on it. He said that you refused to fight him.
Whoa.
Take me through this whole situation, man.
He shared a contract? You sure about that? Come on, bro. Don't be putting no fake news out there, my brother. I thought you were better than that. He didn't share anything. There is no contract. I mean, if there was a contract, he'd be plastering it over the internet and the whole world would see it. He'd be rubbing it in his face. This fight has never been talked about. So I don't know why you're saying there's no contract. If there was a contract, he would be showing it. He would be putting it everywhere. He's irrelevant. He hasn't done anything to deserve a fight of this magnitude. So the fight's never been offered. I don't know why he's talking about that. I've been offered 3 other fights. They weren't him. They didn't have his name on it. So there was no contract offered, and he's still a cuck. I think it's smarter business-wise. You saved me for a pay-per-view. What's the point to go to a fight night? I haven't done a fight night in like 7-8 years. So obviously, I'm willing to do whatever the company wants. I love the company. I'm a company man. Love Hunter Campbell, Dana White, Ari Emanuel, just the greatest business minds of all time. So whatever they want me to do, I'll be willing to do it. But I think, being on a pay-per-view, a main event, big co-main event type spot, I think that makes more sense. Yeah, so, we've been talking about, this fight with Jack Madeleine. I think it makes a lot of sense. He got a big win in my hometown in Miami last time he was out here. So, he has a little bit of a name out here, and, he's undefeated. He's hungry. He's fearless. He's an exciting fighter. So I think that's a fight that the fans will be intrigued with. I think it's a high-level fight. It's a top contender fight that establishes who's the next contender for the belt. So, that's a fight that's out there. Another fight, that's being talked about, that this guy's running his mouth a little bit, which is weird because every time I see this guy, he puts his eyes down and he walks past me like a little bitch. But now he wants to throw stones in the media. I don't know if you've seen Paddy Pimblett. He's been throwing some stones. Have you seen that? He's been running his mouth in the media. He's saying, I'll go up to welterweight. I'll fight Colby. So this and that. I mean, of course he wants to come up to welterweight and fight me or Conor, the 2 biggest names in the UFC right now in the welterweight division. So, of course he'd be honored and be lucky to get this fight. But I think we need to get it going. I don't like it when people talk big to the media and don't back up their talk. Everything I say in the media, I talk the talk and I walk the walk. I back up everything I say. So, we need to hold him accountable for his words. He's saying a lot of things. He's mumbling, fumbling with that stupid UK accent, and that stupid dumb bowl cut. He looks horrendous with that haircut. But, I think he needs to come back up his talk. He'd never fight again. It'd be the last fight that he'd ever have in the octagon. I would beat him silly from pillar to post. I'd beat him so bad it'd be one of the worst beatings in UFC history. I don't think, the Athletic Commission would be able to sanction a fight for him ever again after the damage I would do to Paddy fucking Pimblett. The guy's an absolute joke, and it's just hilarious because last time I saw him in fight week, he's walking down, literally walked by me like 3 times. Every time puts his head straight down, doesn't make any eye contact. But now he wants to talk a big game. So, Paddy, if you're really about that life, come see me. Come see the King of Miami. Call Hunter. Oh, you know what? You probably don't even have the boss's number. You probably have to go through, like, the matchmakers or something. Don't worry. I'll put in a call to the boss. We can get this fight going if you're really about that. And you know what? More importantly, you don't got to cut weight. I know you're a big guy. You're bigger than me anyways. So, hey, come up to welterweight, eat as much food as you want, and bring your A game and pack a lunch because it's going to be the last time you ever fight again.
Has the UFC ever asked you about a fight with Dustin Poirier?
Yeah, absolutely. Their plan, they wanted that. They've wanted that for many pay-per-views now for a long time. This feud goes way back. He has a part in getting me kicked out of the old gym and just a little crybaby with feelings. And then all the things he said. Oh, it's on site. When I see you, it's on site. He made all these fake accusations and all these lies up about me. Saying I'm a bad person, this and that. No, dude, I'm not a bad person. You're a bad person. You pretend to be a good person on camera, but you're actually a piece of shit off camera. I've seen the way he interacts with fans and like turns down pictures and acts like he's too good for people. another guy like the guy I was just talking about, just the ego got to him, the money, the fame, and it got to his head too much and he forgot who he was. So the UFC has approached me with that fight. That's the fight I was holding out and hoping for, because I know the fans want to see that fight. It's an exciting fight. It'll be literally a hellfire fight. We're going to fight fire with fire. It's going to be an exciting fight. So yeah, the UFC's approached me with it, but they know I've always been on board. So they've also said, hey, we're not going to waste your time, but we'll come to you once we get Dustin's side done. But, Dustin was even going to get a pay raise double of what he normally gets, and he still turned it down. He said, nah, I'm never fighting Colby. I'm not getting him I'm not going to let him make any money. But no, it's just because he doesn't want to get fucking retired, and he doesn't want to have to live the rest of his life knowing that I beat the shit out of him, because I already did that every day in the gym. Yeah, a couple months ago, they were trying to give him a little bit bump in pay to fight in this New York card, be the co-main, and there was a couple other spots and pay-per-views. I know they offered it to him, and it's the biggest fight he can get, besides obviously Conor, but that business is done and finished with. So now the biggest fight he could get is me. So it's sad that he didn't at least try. He talks such a big game. Oh, it's on site, it's this and that, but he didn't even try. Man, I've known so many guys that at least they tried. Dustin didn't try. He's Louisiana swamp trash, and his wife is a Jezebel. I hope Stipe, nothing more that I look up to and my role models in America right now than our first responders, our military, our law enforcement. So Stipe is a great American. He's a patriot. He's a first responder, and the guy's a hard worker. He's managed being a firefighter while being a UFC champion. I mean, to have a double life like that is just so impressive, and I can only imagine his work ethic. So I'm really rooting for, a real American, a guy that has morals and values, something that John lacks. He has no morals and values. He's a terrible person. He's beaten his wife. He's, multiple drug charges, terrible steroid charges. So he's not a good person. He doesn't deserve to win. So I'm rooting for Stipe, and I hope he gets it done.